Hello there and welcome to Jen's Kitchen. Now last time, if you watched, we were doing chicken thighs and we were supposed to put them on the grill, but it was very windy the next day. So I will update you on that in the next segment. For right now, we're working on meatloaf. Right now I've already prepared about 1.5 pounds of hamburger meat, and I'm still working on the onion chopped. I would say about a tablespoon of Dijon mustard, and I use about, I love these crackers. It makes it sweet compared to using breadcrumbs, and also because a lot of people like to use brown sugar, and I'm trying to stay away from that a little bit, so using crackers gives it that sweetness without having to use the sugar. So it was about 14 crackers or so, I'd say, and I just meshed them up and crumbled in there. So right now I am working on the peppers. Like the crunch and the flavor, and it gives it a little bit of different taste than probably usual, but at the same time these are sweet peppers, so it will add into the sweetness of the crackers instead of having that brown sugar. So when I cut my peppers, I usually, these small ones that you'll get from the store, I usually cut the top and then cut through the middle, and then I take out the veins. Some people, they're fine with it, but I think it gives a little toughness sometimes when you're eating certain foods, so I just like to go ahead and cut the top, seed it, and then cut the veins, and then dice it to add to it. So I went ahead and pre-diced some of these, and then left one so that I could show what my preference is. Of course, you can always do what you like to do. You don't have to go off me. And even this recipe that I have, that I'm creating today, comes from a different, possibly 3 different recipes that I've looked at in the past, because I've done the brown sugar and it was good, but it was very sweet, and I honestly am not fond of ketchup, so I go more the barbecue topping. But I decided to do the Dijon mustard to give it that, we got the sweet and savory thing going on right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and add those peppers. I wanted to add celery. That was always a thought. But since I didn't have that and I used most of it on the last one, this is another good crunch and another to add with the sweetness and the savory. And I've washed my hands, but I need to finish with the onion. There are different ways to chop onions. You can chop it, say, let me move this out of the way a little bit. You can this way or this way. Make sure you're watching your fingers. Kind of keep them back. But you can always do it from the side, like this. And then go back in the little parts. Just give that extra little dice. And if you're using a bigger knife, so you can go, but I had a smaller piece, so I thought I'd just use a smaller knife. And this is a Cutco. Gotta say, they've been around for a while, and I still believe they sell good product. So I'm a believer of the Cutco. So we're gonna continue to cut this until it's diced up a bit and add it to the mix. There we go. As it gets smaller and finer, it's easier to cut, kind of like the bigger knife. I'm going to move this out of the way. I have my little compost pile. If you watched previously, I talked about the compost and the chickens. Chickens love bell peppers. Don't ever give them onions because of the digestive system. They cannot digest the onions. So if you have chickens, you have compost. Some of the favorite treats, well, bell pepper is one of the favorite treats for the chicken. So I'm going to go ahead and add this to our meatloaf mix. And there we go. I'm going to do a little bit more. Now, I thought about this on the last video I did about how to cut an onion. So you have this top part, and then you have, you know, the part that really makes you cry. If you go ahead and cut around, you can see that I did that to get that out, plus run it over under cold water, less crying. It works. So go ahead and chop the rest of this one up. Okay. There we go. This one stayed more confined, however you want to call it, for me to cut into it. I didn't have to struggle as much, and almost have it all cut up. All right, got some big pieces here. Let's go ahead and make sure they're not so chunky. Got them all. I don't want to jump out of here. Say, come back. All right, there we go. Add the rest of this. Now, I did already prep my pan, my meatloaf pan, with some foil. Honestly, there's always questions about the dull side, the light side. It really doesn't matter, in my opinion, of baking desserts, cookies, whatever, and also doing meats. So I did go ahead and spray in the foil just to make sure it doesn't stick, because perhaps sometimes it does, and that will allow to release it. But also, foil is awesome when it comes to easy mess. This is not a mess maker. I did add some minced garlic earlier, and I'd say it was probably a half a teaspoon to that. And I also added probably a teaspoon or so of the oil, which will also help with the sticking, and an egg. It really combines things. Even though this is not turkey meat, it really helps when you put the crackers in there and all the other dry ingredients. That egg really helps combine everything together and make it stay conform, you know, once it's cooking. So I'll go ahead and wash my hands again, just because I feel like even though I have the onions and stuff, just want to make sure. Okay. Try. Now, I was going to add some carrots, but because the lettuce, well, we tried to use it last time, and then the rest of it was just good to go to the garden or the chickens, and I used the peppers instead. So I'm not going to use the carrots this time, and just use the peppers and go ahead and combine it. Hands are work best. Yes, Rachel Ray. She says so too. So we're gonna go ahead and combine this in the hands. And sometimes you would just do two, but I like to control the bowl from moving around too much around the counter. So whoops, I lost one. That's okay, I'm not gonna grab it, but we will clean up later. So let's get this all here. Now between the Dijon mustard, and I'm gonna add some black pepper, and all the other flavors from this minced onion and the oil and everything we already have in here, it already brings a lot of flavor to the meatloaf. So I will add some pepper, and as I said in the last video of the chicken thighs, I'm always about trying the low sodium approach. So I see Dijon mustard has such amount of sodium, and so does the barbecue sauce. So I try to stay away from any more salt that we can. I added the garlic because garlic is always good to have, helps with the immune system, and sometimes even just really keeping you from getting sick, honestly. So now I will add some black pepper. I don't have an exact amount teaspoon wise, but if I had to guess, I would say at least a half a teaspoon, quarter to half. It's kind of and then I'm going to go ahead and mix it again. I like to incorporate the seasoning after incorporating all the ingredients. That way the seasoning incorporates with the ingredients more. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's just it's a thought. So almost done here. Sometimes you can give it a smell. I smell the graham crackers. Smell a little bit of the Dijon mustard that I added. So through this, at the moment, that's where you realize, do I need to add more of something? If you feel like you do. Say, I said so much Dijon, so much of this. If you smell and then you think maybe there's not enough garlic, maybe there's not enough whatever, you can then add more if you like, which I think I actually might add just a little bit more Dijon. And about a half, so there's about a teaspoon more of the Dijon mustard. Start to look like I'm making tuna salad. Let's give it another check. Yeah, I can smell the flavor, or what would probably be give it more flavor. Good here. Let's go ahead and add it to our pan that I did the foil, and I did a little bit of spray just to make sure it doesn't stick as much. I like using the foil, like I said, because it's an easy cleanup. But adding the spray gives it a little bit of extra, so we don't have to worry about sticking. Okay, about done here. Go. It smells good. This is from. Okay. And press it down into the pan. Okay. And also, I like to add the foil on top. So wash. I'm going to preheat our convectional oven, so we don't have the oven set up just yet. So the time difference may vary, but usually around 400 is 375, 400. I think 400, I believe, is what you cook meatloaf at for about 40 to 45 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and preheat my convectional oven, since it doesn't take long to do that, and hopefully within 40-45 minutes we'll have some great results. Now we'll bring it over here. Now we need to check to make sure that it's done. Don't have to completely unwrap it, because you want to make sure that it stays sealed for controlled temperature and moisture. So you can do this like that, and that's just fine. And breathe in, girl, looking good. And we're good. Yep. Temperature is great. So, but make sure when you're actually unmasking, taking the foil off, kind of back away, because there's going to be a lot of steam. If you want to use gloves, that's fine, or pot holders, whatever. Whew, there we go. That's what I was talking about. Okay, so here we have it. Has lots of juices. Let it sit, you know, because you don't want something dry. And when you think about cooking any meats, it's not good to have it dry. So we have the right temperature we need. It could sit in this juice. It's a barbecue now based juice for a little bit as it rests. It's always good to let the meat rest. And it's smelling great. So I think this is going to turn out just fine. So we're back now with the meatloaf. Looks very good. Smells awesome. And with the meatloaf, or should I say ground beef or meats like this, it's not like chicken. It doesn't have to be 165. It's more like a 155. And also depends on if it's a hamburger you're trying to have done, well done, or rare. So I'm going to go ahead and pull some of this out here that I've cut. It's looking good and it's smelling good. Now I don't have extra sides because I was focusing on this main dish. But you can see the barbecue kind of caramelized. The onions did cook a bit. Same with the peppers. And all the dressing, the seasonings are well mixed with it. So I'm going to go ahead and have a taste test right here. Let's see how it turned out. So hot, of course. That barbecue on top definitely incorporates the rest of the flavors that are within that meatloaf. The Dijon mustard, and some of the oils, and then the onion and the pepper. It definitely gives that sweet and savory kind of taste. I'm glad this worked out. I'll definitely do it again.